أشهد أن محمد رسول الله
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, my dear sisters. Inshallah, we will conclude Surah Al-Kahf. We will read from ayah 99 to ayah 110, and this is the last part of Surah Al-Kahf, which really, again, like, you know, the whole Quran, of course, and the whole message of Islam, of course, reminds us again and again about these basic pillars of, and foundation really, not even pillar, even underneath the pillar, there is the foundation upon which the pillars then are built, subhanallah. And these foundations of Iman, that you believe in Allah and that you believe in the hereafter. These points, these foundations of Iman, they are explained, and we are reminded about them again and again and again in the Quran. And in this last part of Surah Al-Kahf, again you will see that yes, this is what is, the whole message is all about, that you should be a person who is preparing for the day of judgment, who is doing right now, doing his or her best to prepare for this coming day, because this day will come without any doubt. So we'll read from ayah 99, my dears. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. And in the English translation, it says, "We will abandon them that day," meaning when the people will start to emerge, "to pound against each other in surging waves." And these, this ayah could be either about the Ya'juj and Ma'juj, that when Allah will release them, then because there will be so many, they will be, like waves pounding against each other. Or because the rest of the ayah speaks about the day of judgment, or the starting of the day of judgment. So this could be about the people in general on the day of judgment as well. Both interpretations are there, and really both meanings could be applied. Both meanings make sense. So they will be mixing together because of the great number. And then it says in the ayah, "And the trumpet will be blown, and we will gather them all together." This is, haqiqah. This is the truth. This is what it's all about. We will be resurrected, and we will be all, gathered all together, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take us to account. Subhanallah, may Allah forgive us. May Allah make our hisab an easy hisab. And then it continues, "That day we will display hell in its totality to the unbelievers, to the deniers, who used to deny it, who used to say that no, this can't be, or maybe not, who were in doubt about it. Then on that day, it will be displayed in its totality." Do you know what this means? That they will see the hellfire. May Allah protect us. May Allah protect us and keep us as far away from the hellfire as possible, that we do not even smell or hear the sounds of the hellfire. Ya Rab, Ameen. "Those unbelievers whose eyes were blind to my remembrance." Meaning for those, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will display hell for those unbelievers whose eyes were blind to my remembrance. Meaning the Quran, for example, or the warnings of the messengers. They were blind. Their eyes were blind to the remembrance of Allah. You could see everything else. Yes, it does not mean that these people were, proper blind in all different aspects of life. No, they could see many, many things. Yes, maybe some of them had sharp eyes like eagle eyes. That was no problem. For worldly matters, for matters of their interest, they had good functioning eyes. But for the remembrance, they were like blind, as if they were behind a cover. Ghita'in actually means a cover. Yeah, like a blanket, a cover in front of your eyes. Like what people take when they want to sleep and it's daytime. Like in the plane, they give it to you, these eye covers. Subhanallah, and then you don't see anything. It's light outside, but for you it's darkness. Yes, so the Quran is light. Yes, but some people choose not to see it, and they actually do not see it. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But this does not mean that the Quran actually is no light. No, it is still light. Just because the blind ones do not see it, it does not mean that the reality of the Quran has changed. No, never. Even if all people choose not to see it, still the Quran is light. And it is the remembrance, subhanallah. And then they're also described as, and whose ears were unable to hear, meaning what were they unable to hear? Everything which was connected to truth, to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This they could not hear. Everything else they could hear. But what the Prophet said, what the Quran is saying, they cannot hear. They say, well, I don't know, I don't understand it. Yes? Oh, it's always, repetition. I don't know, it doesn't make sense for me. Yes, what does not make sense for you? Most of the times, or many times, these things don't make sense for you, in which you are not in the least interested. Yes? Like, for example, there are the mathematicians and those who are not mathematicians, right? Remember your school time. Yes? And for some, it's easy to say, what is there not to understand? This is their thing, they are scientists and they know what it's all about. And for others, it's a complete mystery. Yes? And they don't show any interest in it. They don't even want to be able to understand it because they have nothing to do with it. Yes? So if you have nothing to do with something, you have no interest for something, then this also may be the reason why something is why you are unable to hear, to see, or to comprehend it with your heart. Do those who disbelieve imagine that they can take my slaves? Meaning, for example, what has been worshipped other than Allah? You could, name anything. The angels were worshipped other than Allah. The jinn even. Many of the prophets, subhanallah, even though they did not want it, were worshipped besides Allah. So anything could be really filled in this, what Allah is implying to. That do those who disbelieve, meaning who worship other than Allah, do they really imagine that they can take my slaves as protectors instead of me? Really, this sentence, this rhetorical question even, makes you aware of really the stupidity of shirk, the emptiness, the falsehood of shirk, that you really want to rely on the creation and leave the creator? Do you really think that the creation can do anything for you what the creator cannot do for you? I mean, what is the sense in shirk? But still, all the time, again and again, if you analyze human history, subhanallah, then shirk is what has happened, most often. Whenever, even, in archaeology, when people dig something out, most of the times it has something to do with shirk. Maybe it's only my perception, subhanallah, but shirk is something, it happened to people again and again, and this is the worst of all sins. May Allah forgive us. We have prepared hellfire as a hospitality. Nuzula. Nuzula is the place where the guest arrives and food and drink, etc. is prepared for him in this place. This is nuzula. So this is, to make these disbelievers aware that if this is your hospitality, let alone the place of punishment. Yes, hellfire as your place of hospitality. Na'udhu billah, may Allah forgive us. We have prepared hellfire as hospitality for the unbelievers, meaning those who denied truth, who denied to accept truth. So this is something active. When we say unbeliever, it sounds like something passive. Like, it didn't, occur to him, that there was something he should have, paid attention to or something. No. If you say kafir, this is an active, it's a active noun in Arabic. Yes, it implies that somebody is doing something actively. Like, for example, fatih, the opener, like literal meaning, okay? Or katib, the writer, he is writing something. Or what else? I don't know, sharib, the one who is drinking, he's actively drinking. Yeah, the kafir is actively denying the truth when he sees it. He chooses not to see or to accept it. So it's very active. Yes, so it's not something like, he happened to be and still Allah punishes him. No, na'udhu billah. Allah gives signs, Allah gives opportunities, and these people, astaghfirullah, may Allah forgive us, people in general, they choose sometimes not to see something because it suits them or whatever reasons. For the unbelievers, yes, say, shall I inform you of the greatest losers in their actions? The greatest losers? May Allah forgive us. Along the word loser is something really, we don't want to be from the losers, not great, not small, nor, we don't want to lose anything. To lose something you had, this is so, it's, painful. It's really, you would regret it That, oh, I had something, but then I lost it. If you don't have something in the first place, it's also sad, let's say sad, but it's not maybe as full of remorse and regret that if you had something and then you lose it, isn't it? Yes, and these people, they are the greatest losers when it comes to actions. Subhanallah. Those people, shall I inform you of the greatest losers in their actions? People whose efforts in the life of this world are misguided, meaning their actions are only for this world. They don't do anything else. This is what they strive for. This is what they work for. This is what they struggle for. Sa'yuhum, this is their struggle about this dunya. And because it's only in this dunya, it's misguided, it's lost. Dalla can mean misguided, and it can mean lost as well. So the efforts, the struggle in the life of this world are lost. They will have nothing from their actions because they did not intend them to be of consequence in the hereafter. They did not believe in the hereafter. They did not send anything for the hereafter. So how can they expect to find something when they arrive in the hereafter? It's not possible, right? Makes sense. Subhanallah, may Allah forgive us. People whose efforts in the life of this world are misguided, or again, their struggle in the life of this world is lost. Yes, both translations could be possible. While they suppose that they are doing good, that they are doing beautiful things. Now imagine, what greater illusion could there be? You are thinking about yourself that everything's fine. I'm doing a great job here. Look at me. I'm doing this and that. Everything is so nice and beautiful. But in the end, you will have nothing from your actions because they were not intended to please Allah. They were not intended to survive the turmoil of death and resurrection. Yes, you did not intend them to be of benefit for you in the hereafter. So how can they, subhanallah, survive all these different phases in our existence? We have to die, we have to be resurrected, and then we see the deeds we have sent forth for ourselves. Yes, but only if they were sincere for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they were not sincere, then they will not survive. They will come to an end with this dunya. When this dunya comes to an end, your deeds will come to an end. What greater loss could there be? May Allah protect us from such an illusion. Those are the people who reject their Lord's signs and the meeting with Him, meaning at the day of resurrection. Their actions will come to nothing. So this is, the description. What kind of people are these? Who will have nothing from their actions, who reject the signs of Allah, and also the meeting with Allah, meaning they reject everything. What else is there? Yeah, if you reject the signs of Allah, you reject Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself, and you reject Akhirah, their action will come to nothing, and on the day of rising, we will not assign them any weight, meaning any importance, any weight, any benefit. Their actions will be like nothing. In the Quran, we also read like ashes on a stormy day. Like there is stormy winds everywhere, and there's a pile of ashes. Nothing will remain of them. Ashes are something, even if you try to keep them in your hand, nothing remains. Yes, it's not like sand, like grains of sand. You can keep them in your hand, but ashes, subhanallah. That is their repayment, hellfire, because they disbelieved and made a mockery of my signs and of my messengers. So this is not a petty issue. If you mock the signs of Allah, there will be a consequence. Yes, there will be a consequence. Those who believe and do right actions, this is the other hand. Yes, this is the other side of those who believe and they do right actions. For them, they will have the gardens of paradise as hospitality, remaining in them forever with no desire to move away from them. So this is also something people sometimes say. I don't know, maybe some children say this sometimes, for example, that maybe, na'udhu billah, paradise will get boring, na'udhu billah. Of course, this is something very wrong to say. But maybe some people think like this, that, always the same place and forever and ever and this and that. No, Allah is declaring here in the Quran, and He made us. He created us. He created our desires and our hopes and our ability to enjoy. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gave these abilities to us in the first place. So we, subhanAllah, question His, na'udhu billah, ability to make us able to enjoy the life of paradise? This is, does not make sense. So he will be the one. He's declaring in the Quran that Jannah will be a place where no one will ever want to desire to move away from. Say, if all the water of the sea were ink, meaning ink to write, to write down the words of my Lord. The words of my Lord could be two things. Either in general, words meaning wisdom, the Quran even are the words of Allah, the wisdom of Allah, the wonders of Allah. This is one meaning. Or the kalimat of Allah, the words of Allah, could also be the orders of Allah, the amr. If Allah orders something to be, He says be, and then it is. Both of these meanings could be applied. Both is, kalimat of Allah. So if all the water of the sea were ink to write down the words of my Lord, it would run out long before the words of my Lord ran out, even if you were to bring the same amount of ink again. This is who we are talking about. This is Allah. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Nothing is like Him. So before you question Him or anything you think He has done, like it's very, nowadays we read all sorts of astaghfirullah, statements about Allah, why He did this and that, and this very famous and popular discussion about suffering in the world and the great problem of the atheists and everything. I know, most of us have at least heard about these things. But before you question, before you rise to that place where you can question Allah or His actions, think about it. Who are we talking about? The one whose wisdoms and whose power and ability to create is, yes, just as it was described in this ayah, without end, without limit. He is the all-powerful. He is the greatest, al-azim. His azama, His greatness, like in a hadith it is said that if you would compare the greatness of only the throne of Allah, to the seventh heaven. It's only a small part from the hadith. Only to the seventh heaven. It is like throwing a ring into a desert. So this is the comparison. Only the seventh heaven, let alone the seventh to the sixth heaven to the fifth, and so forth, to the heaven of the dunya. The heaven of the dunya compared to the heaven above is like, also from the same hadith, like throwing a ring into the desert. So unimaginable. Okay, let's say, this is really, we can't even imagine the amount, the sheer greatness of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let alone Allah Himself. We can't even imagine the greatness, the majesty, the taqdees. We sanctify Him, and we make tasbih for Him. That He is perfect. He is without any blemish or anything which could be unbefitting for His greatness and majesty. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So before we speak about Him, we remember that He is Allah and nothing is like Him. Say, I am only a human being like yourselves. It is revealed to me that your God is one God. So let him who hopes to meet his Lord act rightly, do righteous deeds, and not associate anyone in the worship of his Lord. So if you are really hoping to meet Allah, meaning, of course, everybody is afraid, to die. This is normal, this is natural. Yes, but still, you have hope that when you meet Allah, that He will reward you for your deeds, and that you will find, there will be justice on this day as well. This is also a hope for those who have suffered, for example, that He would show you His mercy. So these hopes as well, we long to see Allah. We are believers. He is our creator. We want to make Him, we are seeking His pleasure. Yes, we are seeking to make Him be pleased with us. So we are hoping to meet Him while He is pleased with us. So, of course, we are afraid of death, but on the other hand, we have this hope as well. So if this hope is there, then do righteous deeds and do not do any kind of shirk whatsoever. So this also, it reminds us of the fitna of Dajjal again, that we do not, yes, Dajjal will also claim to be, first he will claim to be a prophet, and then even he will claim to be a yes, God, na'udhu billah, and he will do all sorts of things which will confuse people about, what is he? He is really powerful. And we as Muslims should always remember that no, nothing is like Allah. Nothing is like Allah. Nothing shares any quality like the qualities or the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should act righteously, and we should avoid any kind of shirk. This is the end of the surah, my dear sisters. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.